Welcome. It's just about 4 o'clock. I'm Dr. Brown, superintendent, and I want to thank you for taking time out of this beautiful day to spend some time with us and to talk about Zoom, to talk about Schoology, to talk about School Tool a little bit, to talk about some of the applications that we use and how they can be used most effectively. So I'm going to kind of be the MC for today a little bit, but I'm also going to be the moderator. So in a couple of minutes here, I'm going to cut things over to one of our esteemed guests who is going to take things from here while I manage our YouTube channel. I'm just waiting for that to come up right now. And as soon as it does, we'll be able to begin because I'll be able to see the screen. So if you're looking at the screen right now, the people that you're seeing, we have from the top, well, I guess from, if you could just wave when I call your name, we have Erica Hasselstrom. She's our Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment. We have Eric Pasho. He's the principal at Gorham Intermediate. We also have with us Bonnie Kaiser, Dr. Kaiser, who is the principal at Valley. We have Scott Robinson, who's the assistant principal at Valley and at Gorham. And we have Casey Burnett, who, Casey, I'm in all the buildings all the time. Remind me what building you're in.
I'm at Valley.
And Casey is at Valley. And we're expecting possibly some more guests to help us this afternoon. And as they come in, we'll be sure to introduce them, okay? And if they're not able to connect, they'll be connecting via our YouTube channel. So what's going to happen here is Mrs. Hasselstrom is going to share her screen. So you can take a look at the presentation that we have for you today.
And I think Dr. Brown, Brenda Lehman's on here, our Director of Technology.
Where did she go? Is she on there too? She was, oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Lehman. My screen only is allowing me to show 4 people. So there's Mrs. Lehman. She's our Director of Technology. She and her team have been working incredibly hard to make sure that we have been all up and running and going. So I apologize for that.
So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Dr. Brown just did our introductions. We wanted to talk to you a little bit tonight about the purpose of this. So Dr. Brown, do you want to share the objectives for tonight? And then we'll get started into content.
Yep. As soon as, can you share your screen for me?
Oh, I did. Okay.
Great. All right. So first of all, the one piece we're doing tonight is for our remote learners and their caregivers, just to give you some support in what you're doing at home. So tonight's session is for people who are here, who are home 5 days a week. Tomorrow night, we're going to be doing a session for parents and caregivers who are home every other day, or if you're at Gorham, are home, 1 day a week or 2 days a week and that kind of thing. But we also want you to know tonight, we want you to leave here having a complete understanding of where to go to contact our support and to get troubleshooting solutions that we have. It's very important for us to make sure that you know where to go and how to get quick information, because now that we're into the school year a little bit, we don't want your frustration rising because you can't get answers to your questions. And the last thing is, there's this thing that's called the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA. And most, I'm not going to say all, because I'm sure you'll find one that's not, but just about every school district in the country gets some grants from the federal government. And one of the pieces of the grant is to have some parent nights or town halls where you get together and talk about a variety of things. That's also one of the objectives for tonight. So we're glad you're here, and I think you're going to find this program to be pretty informative.
Thanks, Dr. Brown. So in my role as the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, I get to spend a lot of time working with teachers and checking in on what's going well with them and what they are concerned about with their students. And just some little pieces of the puzzle that we wanted to share tips and tricks for with you. You've probably heard some of these things from us, from your students' teachers, but we wanted to make sure that we just reminded you about these as well. So the first thing is setting up your child's workspace. So for our students who are UPK through 5, we really want to make sure that they have a quiet, consistent place to work with an adult nearby. We talk to students about, making sure that they have a spot where it's quiet and it is conducive to them learning. We've talked to students about maybe drawing a picture of what it looks like to be at their workstation and submitting that to their teachers, just to kind of practice using some digital tools. And for our UPK through 5 students, we don't really have UPK students going remote right now, but they are receiving some packets and newsletters of information from Mrs. Kaiser. The following 2 pieces are really more for our K through 5 students. A lot of our students have headphones with built-in mics. That's helpful for them to be able to reduce distractions that are going on around them. It's helpful for them to be clear in their communication while they're talking. I'm not wearing my headset right now, so I'm hoping that my mic is coming through loud and clear. And we wanted to really emphasize the fact that, particularly for our K2 students and even our 3rd grade students, we need to have an adult nearby that can help them troubleshoot when they're logging in and how they're getting onto their Zoom. But we also want to remind parents to remember that your student is Zooming. So things that are happening in the background are maybe being heard by their class. And we want to make sure that we're being conscious of that with our students and making sure they have a nice place to work. I believe that Dr. Brown just told me that Erin Bodine, who's a teacher at Valley, just joined the group.
Yep, and Mrs. Karsus is on her way in as well.
And Mrs. Karsus from Gorham is on her way in as well. So I'm going to keep going through our slides while they're entering.
Yeah.
So one of the things you probably have heard in each of the buildings before, perhaps if you're a UPK or a K parent, this is still a little new to you. We really follow the system of PBIS, it's Positive Behavioral Intervention Systems, and really try to incorporate that with our digital citizenship. So before we went on pandemic leave, all of our buildings had developed matrices of expectations for students' behavior in all common areas. And because we know that we have students that are all remote, we still want them to be a part of that positive behavioral intervention system and help them learn good digital citizenship. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes and show you the matrices from Valley and from Gorham. And I actually said that backwards. I think Gorham is first. So this is the Gorham matrices. You should probably see this in your students' Schoology. It gets sent home with students. It's posted on our websites. But you can see that we really try to make sure that our expectations for our 3 through 5 students follow our pride characteristics. And we've added in things that are making sure that they're able to cross these characteristics between being at school and being fully remote. So even when we're asking them to be respectful at arrival and dismissal, we want to see good body language from them. We want to see them greeting each other's, and maybe they're not holding the door, but maybe they're saying something kind to a person who's entering into the classroom. Oh, hi, Mrs. Lehman, I'm glad to see you here today. So these things are characteristics that cross over from both being in school to being at home. For our Valley friends, we're a little bit more concise with them. We have 3 characteristics that we want them to show: be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. So again, those things really go along with being in school or being remote learners. We're doing a lot to check in with our students on being safe on the internet, making sure they understand how to use their Chromebooks, and making sure that they still follow those same characteristics. It's hard for kindergartners, I have one, to always greet each other in the right way. And when they're on a Zoom, it's an appropriate skill for us to be teaching them to make sure that they are greeting each other appropriately. And these, I didn't mention at the beginning, we will be posting the PDF of this slideshow. So you'll be able to access any of these slides after we're done streaming to YouTube. And before I jump into the next set of characteristics of troubleshooting, we just want to check in and see if there's any questions about PBIS or about those matrices that you might have just seen. So I'm going to pause for a minute because I know there's a lag.
And actually, I'm trying to get myself logged into our YouTube channel. So stand by.
Standing by.
I don't see any questions right now.
Okay, I'm going to keep going forward then. So troubleshooting, one of the things that the teachers and principals and I and Mrs. Lehman discussed in the last week were some things that we found parents of students grades K through 5 struggling a little bit with. And we wanted to make sure that we showed you where you could find resources for that. We wanted to make sure that we gave you some tips and tricks for helping troubleshoot for your students right off the bat. Because like we said, that adult that's standing nearby is their first line of troubleshooting, then the teacher. And then if the teacher can't help within the first couple of minutes, we're going to guide you to go to our either our help desk site or to our tech help desk in an actual email or call. So as we move forward, maybe, there we go. I wanted to show you some locations that you're able to get resources from as a parent. So you noticed I just minimized out of our PowerPoint, and you're going to start to see a bunch of tabs that are opening up for me across the top of my screen. That's going to be one thing we talk about in a few minutes. But notice that the one that I'm leaving right now has this like yellow box. That's my slideshow. And I know that that's the home base of where I started from. So we teach our students that if they're in Google Slides or in Schoology, that's like their first little tab at the top of the screen to try and get back to. But I'm gonna hopefully be able to click. So many of you are familiar with our Marcus Whitman home website. It's constantly being updated. A lot of times you'll see pop-ups that are things that are happening right now. And we have this section over here that is like our COVID-19 resources. That's for parents where you would find all of the information about our reopening plans and whatnot. But the thing that's really important for parents is this tab called Parents. You've probably been here before when you're looking for things about registering your students and newsletters and things that you might need to know. But the two that I want to point out to you are the School Tool Parent Portal and the Schoology Parent Access. So one thing that's really nice on this website is that we have a whole link for you as a parent to get your parent Schoology account. I can't tell you how important that is for you to have. That's the place that you're going to be able to keep track of what your students' assignments are, your child's assignments are, what their grades are, what they're doing in their courses and classes. And it's really a great idea to make sure that you have your own Schoology parent access. Now, I want to say something to any parents who might be watching that are Marcus Whitman district employees or employees at a school district that uses Schoology. You need to use your personal email account. So I can't use my Hasselstrom account for my child's, to be the parent of my child's account, because it kind of interferes with how Schoology worked. The same thing would apply if I was a teacher at Mid Lakes and we use Schoology. I shouldn't use my Mid Lakes school email. I need to use my personal email to make sure that that is syncing correctly for my students in my own school that I'm teaching, as well as my own individual child. So again, all I did was go to the Marcus Whitman homepage. I clicked on Parents, and those two help items are right here: Schoology Parent Access and School Tool Parent Portal. School Tool is where we hold our official grades for students. I'm gonna I have these tabs open up here. I'm gonna pop back to my Family Engagement tab, and I'm going to present my slideshow again. Okay, so there are two big troubleshooting items that we've found with families right now. The first one is I can't get into Zoom, okay? So each of the remote teachers has set up their Schoology page to have the link to go right to Zoom on it, but we're finding that students are sometimes having a hard time getting into Zoom, and that can be for a lot of reasons. So if the page says to you, please wait for the host to start the meeting, that just means the teacher hasn't started the Zoom yet. Don't panic, they're gonna start it soon. You're in the waiting room, you're kind of just not quite in the waiting room yet. You're kind of hanging out before you get to the waiting room for the teacher to start the meeting. You might also get, please wait to join the meeting. That means you are in the waiting room and you are able to, your teacher's going to let you in, but you could email your teacher to let them know that you're there. We do this a lot in meetings if we're a little bit late to the meetings and we're trying to get into things and, oh my gosh, I'm more than 5 minutes late, and I send an email to Dr. Brown to say, I'm here now, let me into the meeting, and then he can pop me into the meeting. So those are the things to think about if you can't get into Zoom. Always start by checking your student's Schoology page and check your parents' Schoology notifications. You're going to get those updates as well. But you might need to be a little bit patient waiting for the session to start. Okay, so now.
Mrs. Hasselstrom,
Yes.
I just wanted to mention that we've got a couple more guests that are joining right now.
And I send an email to right on.
We have Leah Schaefer, and we have Lucinda Moses is in here as well. So welcome. And we also have Mrs. Smith.
Always start by checking your students. Oh, I can hear myself in the background right now with the lag. I'm like trying to figure out who that was, and it's my voice. Okay, I'm okay with that. We're going to keep moving forward with this, friends. So welcome, Mrs. Moses, Mrs. Karsis, and Mrs. Bodine, and Mrs. Smith, I think. We are now past the point where we can't quite get into our Zoom. Now we got into our Zoom. Now what do we do? Okay, so I'm in the Zoom. Things are glitchy. Okay, things are not working as smoothly as I would like them to be working. So the first thing I'm going to try and do is send a chat to my teacher to let them know that you're having an issue, or raise your hand. Students can take the option of raising their hand to show us not just physically raising their hand, but digitally raising their hand. Mrs. Karsis, would you raise your hand? I don't know if everybody will be able to see that. No, digitally raise your hand, Mrs. Karsis, in your participants. I don't know if it's going to show. Well, I, as the teacher, see it. I don't know if you're going to see it on my stream right now. So the next thing you're going to want to do is to restart your Chromebook. So one of the things that we pushed out in the spring was that every Monday you should restart fully your Chromebook. Because we're using Zoom so much, we need you to shut down your Chromebook fully, at least one time per day. That does not mean just close your Chromebook. It means truly power it off, let it be off for a minute or two, then restart it. And the reason for that is just to keep things from having too much cache happening in the background, having too many downloads happening in the background. We want to make that run smoothly for you. Okay, so Zoom didn't work. I raised my hand. I let the teacher know that there was a problem. I restarted my Chromebook. They should be restarting their Chromebook once a day, at least. And then I'm going to check back into that Schoology page for my teacher. I'm going to relaunch Zoom and see if it's working. Okay. If Zoom is still not working, this is a problem that Mrs. Hasselstrom has. Check to see if your smartphone or tablet is relatively close to your Chromebook. It might be interfering. I am notorious for having my cell phone right next to the device I'm working off of, and that interferes. So I need to make sure that I move that away from where I'm working. And then if we have another issue, we're going to email or call the tech help desk. Like I said, this information is going to be posted underneath the live stream. So that's the next step. And let's say all other steps don't work and you can't get into Zoom. Your remote teachers have done an amazing job of putting work into Schoology for you. So you probably can get away with doing some of that Schoology work until we can figure out what the Zoom issue is for you, and then help you move forward and get back into the Zoom a little bit later. Any questions about that?
Let's just give that a second here. I've also posted the link that will take you to the presentation slides that are being used right now as well. Let me let everything catch up to itself here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I think you're all set.
Okay. All right, so this is where we get into a little bit of fun with some practicing of things. One of the things that we're finding is that we use Google Drive, Schoology, and Cami. Our K2 kids are not really using Cami as much yet, but they will be when they're able to start drawing some things for math. And then as they progress into middle school and high school, that will be something that they're definitely using. So one of the things I wanted to show to families that sometimes is a little bit confusing, and I'm going to exit out of my presentation again, is, okay, remember, I got all these tabs popping up here. It's going to be a lot of tabs by the time we get done with this. So I want to remember that my anchor is that yellow Google Slides page. And it might be a different anchor for your students, but that's one thing to remember is where you started from. So Google Drive is something that all of our students use. It's connected to their Schoology, and it's something that they're able to search in really pretty easily. I used to be one of those people that had all the organized files in my Microsoft Word and everything was like in the right categories. And somehow when we went to Google Drive, I lost that habit. So I find that I use the search function a lot when I'm in Google Drive. So I'm just going to show you, I'm going to jump to a tab. This right here, this triangle means I'm in my Google Drive. So let's say that I just wanted to find some virtual backgrounds for some pictures to put on a slideshow or whatnot. And I know that I have this in my Google Drive, and I want to find a picture of The Big Bang Theory. And it starts to pop up The Big Bang Theory living room. And when I select that, whoa, there it is. I could use that as my virtual background. I could put that on a slide, but it was just that easy to start typing in whatever it was I was looking for. Maybe I'm looking for Zootopia. And there's a background picture of the Department of Mammal Vehicles in Zootopia. It's a favorite of my kids. So that's another way that I can just do a search. The search doesn't have to be connected just to a picture. It could be connected to a document. It could be connected to a slideshow. It could be connected to whatever it is that the teacher is looking for. And again, to get to the drive, students can go to, oops, right here, my drive. They know the different icons in terms of getting to it from their Clever pages as well. So I'm going to anchor back along that tab to where I started from. And I'm going to present again. I think I'm going to present. So Google Drive, all those tabs are happening. Just keep track of where the students need to start from, and that'll help you with your search and find. Were there any questions about that you saw pop up, Dr. Brown?
Not yet, but let's let it catch up. You know, and like I said, it's about a 20-second difference between what you're presenting and what YouTube gets. So I'm just taking a look right now to make sure that we don't have any questions. Okay, you can go right ahead.
All right, so I'm going to jump into Schoology. Schoology pops up on students' Clever pages. It also is bookmarked for them. So since I am not in Clever right now, I'm going to just go to the Schoology bookmark and show you what Schoology looks like from a student perspective. Schoology is our learning management system. So it's where teachers house all of their materials for our students. And I believe Mrs. Karsis just added me into her group, although I'm experiencing, there we go. You're going to see that I have a lot of courses in here. I have all the district courses in here, so that might be a little bit confusing at first. I'm hoping that when I jump into Mrs. Karsis's sandbox for this, it's going to be a little bit easier. So one of the things you want to notice is students will predominantly go to courses. When a student sees their Schoology page, they see all the classes that they're in. And so each of the teachers have set it up so that they have like a specific picture that's going to connect them to that class. So when I click on Mrs. I clicked on the wrong thing, and it's okay. Nothing's going to happen that's going to go wrong. It's fine. Click on it again. So Mrs. Karsis has her Karsis Sandbox, this picture. Students know to go to that picture whenever they log into Schoology. So right now you can see that Mrs. Carson's sandbox has an announcement right up here every day. She's got something posted that's important for students to see. It's where she's going to say, hey guys, we have a new Zoom link. Let's jump to the new Zoom link. Or maybe she's going to say, hey, don't forget, we're going to be grouping up in our breakout rooms today. But the thing that's really nice for students is that this houses all of their materials. And like I said, because I'm the admin for Schoology, one of the admins for Schoology, I'm going to see this from an administrative view, not necessarily from a student view, but your students would see this 4th grade ELA folder. They'd click in it, week of September 9th. Maybe this was their assignment for that week. And these are all the things that she posted for them to do during that week. One thing that I find parents say is helpful is the calendar function. So I am clicking. So when I go into this calendar, I see the same thing that my student sees. In Mrs. Carson's class, I know that tomorrow is an early dismissal at 11:50. When Mrs. Carson starts to add homework assignments, we're going to see those populate under our calendar. And that's a great place to have a conversation with your child about what work do you owe and what work did you do already. And it's helpful for you to be able to see that as well. And that's pretty much Schoology. Oh dear. I'm going to jump in here. I lost my tab. I lost that little yellow tab. So I must have closed out of it in some way, shape, or form. So let me get caught up to myself. Okay, here's where we were. So we know how students know how to find their classes. They look for the picture that their teacher has taught them. And they use the calendar feature a lot to see items. Right now, they're not at a point where they're submitting a ton of assignments, but because we wanted you to have those as a resource moving forward, submitting an assignment is, this part is a document. I'm gonna open that up from you. It's a regular Word document from Schoology that tells you how students walk through the steps of submitting an assignment. If you're a person that needs the list, this is a good site for you to go to. However, if you're a person that needs a video, hopefully this is going to play without any ads. We're going to watch this 1-minute video. Uh-oh, no sound on my video. Hold on. Well, that's a technical issue. And I'm not sure why it did that. So that's going to be a help desk question for me. How come Erica could play the sound on her laptop, but nobody could hear it? And I'm sure that our wonderful tech coaches will be able to problem solve that for me for our next session at 6 o'clock. But for everybody else, when you go into the live stream, you'll see the link and you'll be able to click on that link and actually watch it yourself. With that, I'm going to move on to Cami. And because I feel like there was a problem with that video, I'm going to guess that there's a problem with this video right here that I need to fix. So I'm going to jump back into my actual presentation. So Cami, what is Cami? Cami is not a who, it's an actual software program that we use. Cami takes any PDF we have, any Google Doc that students have, and makes it able for them to write and draw on it and submit it. So when you take a little bit of time later on, and we'll make sure this link is live, you'll be able to see how students use the Cami assignment submission in Schoology. They're linked together just like Google is, and they'll be able to upload their documents. I will tell you, it's been a cool feature because a lot of times, remember that thing that I said at the beginning where students could draw their own workspace? they could submit that to their teachers through Cami, and they would see an actual drawing that the students did on the computer screen. Okay. I have to adjust my screen for just 1 second.
Yep, Mrs. Hasselstrom, we think that
Yes.
you'll be able to share that sound. When you share your screen, there's a checkbox to share your audio as well, and that's probably what it is.
Okay, I'll fix that in just a minute because I'm not seeing that, but I'm sure that it is a setting issue. So we'll keep working through that. All right. So were there any questions about those programs besides why couldn't we hear the sound?
I'm just taking a look right now. And we do not have any questions.
Okay. So I wanted to throw out that, like, right now we are definitely a work in progress. Every day we are learning new things about this. And our remote teachers have been so great at collaborating with each other and collaborating with across the buildings with each other to make sure that we're learning new things about the tools that we're using. Right now, we're just starting to get our students into those programs that they've used in the past, like MobiMax, Zern, Raz Kids. All those things are starting pretty soon or have just recently started for our students. And we'll follow up with some training tips and tricks on that as well. I'm going to, put them a little bit on the spot. I'm just looking at our teachers and seeing if there's anything else that you noticed just in the last 2 days since we last talked about this that you want parents to be thinking about with their kiddos.
Don't all talk at once.
They love when I put them on the spot. I mean, they really love when I put them on the spot.
Well, I think one of the biggest struggles that parents are having in helping some of the younger children is through submitting the assignments from Cami into Schoology. The
Yep.
kids really understand how to turn in Cami, and then another box pops up with a purple turn in. So they have to hit that again, but there's all these other choices underneath it. And sometimes kids will accidentally kind of be like, well, maybe I need to hand it in there or there or there, like it says Google Drive and it even says Schoology or something there, but they can't hit that. They've got to hit the purple Cami turn in a second time. And then it goes back to Schoology where it brings up another center box where it has the address to the assignment. You hit submit and that will place it back into Schoology.
And that definitely is shown in the video that's linked in here, that whole step piece that students have to do. Any other questions? So like I said, as we keep putting out tools for students to use, we'll be trying to offer some help tips and tricks. We'll probably send those through the teachers to our remote learners. But of course, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome. See, it is a delay. You're more than welcome to find me on Twitter, find Dr. Brown on Twitter, or email us directly.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It's just we're working together. These are uncharted waters that we've been in and we continue to be through, but I think we're doing a good job, both you at home and our people here at school. And we just need to continue that and rely on each other to kind of make it through this. And we will. And so we don't want you to be frustrated. If you find yourself not knowing something, just please reach out for help in some way, shape, or form here to school, and we'll make sure that you get it as quickly as possible. And if we don't know the answer, we'll tell you that we don't know, but we'll go find it and we'll bring it back to you. So I do want to thank all of our special guests today that are on that took some extra time out of their school day. Casey, Eric, Lucinda, Erica, and Kelly and Scott and Brenda and Dr. Kaiser and Andrea Smith and Leah for being here today. Very, very much appreciate it. And also for everybody who had a chance to view this today. Again, if you didn't hear at the beginning, what'll happen is on YouTube, it has to what's called render. So that takes some time to finish uploading basically to YouTube. And probably around 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, you'll be able to view this video at home or on your phone or wherever you are. Okay. So if you have any questions, you let us know. And, thank you and have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.